Let's go ahead and dive into some news for the divisional round of the playoffs here. Quick things to get to, some head coaching updates and some key headlines. But let's start with the injury report as we always do. There's quite a few key injuries, but we also have quite a few guys coming back. So it's not as bleak as it seems. Let's start with San Francisco. Defensive end Nick Bosa left the game with a concussion last week, or just a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco linebacker Fred Warner went down with an ankle injury. The overall sentiment is that they are leaning towards both these guys being back for this game versus Green Bay, so it shouldn't be. I think Nick Bosa is almost a guarantee. He's just got a clear concussion protocol. He'll be right back.
I hope so.
Fred Warner, that's the one that ankle injury is going to be, if he does come back, how healthy is he? Type deal. So then they also Jimmy Garoppolo went down with a shoulder injury as well. So if he can get that sprained shoulder back into action, that's going to be key for them. Tampa Bay, I mentioned this, offensive lineman, pair of them went down. Tristan Wirfs has an ankle injury. Ryan Jensen has an ankle injury. Cincinnati, Larry Ogunjobi's done for the year. He completely obliterated his foot in that last game, so he's done. They're shutting him down. Edge rusher Trey Hendrickson went down with a concussion, should be back for the game. And then one that's just kind of up in the air from Cincinnati is defensive tackle Mike Daniels went down with a groin injury. That one's tough because they're going up against Derrick Henry this next week, which is, hey, gonna have to get that defensive line.
What is his percentage supposed to be like as far as his health? Like, I mean, it's one thing like taking James Conner as an example.
Yeah,
it could be,
No, they're saying that he looks good.
But
they're saying Derrick Henry looks good. He's been practicing for 2 weeks now, and this is going to be week 3. He was cleared to play in week 18, but they just were like, no, we're fine. So.
That doesn't strike fear in me. I guess because after watching, I think they did a good job retooling their backfield with the running backs.
Mm-hmm.
But that pass game,
yeah, it's putrid.
I'm sorry, I can't take them serious, and I just can't.
I don't think that they're going to be able to afford to get into a shootout with Cincinnati, because Cincinnati can score on anybody, and I'm not scared of. Saying this like I'm a Cincinnati fan. I'm not scared of Tennessee's defense when you have Cincinnati's offense. It's just like they are going to be able to. Hey, it's Joe freaking Mixon. He's number 5.
That's what
rushing.
I mean. And if they start, they throwing the ball down the field and they get they get a couple scores and so. You can't Derrick Henry your way 37 carries.
Yeah.
And trying to keep pace.
Not in the playoffs.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, look. The Bengals ain't got the best defense, but they ain't got the worst one either.
No.
I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Derrick Henry's coming back. Oh, I know I'm saying it arrogantly in a sense, but it's kind of like
Derrick Henry ended up
too little, too late for me. Like
Derrick Henry went down in week 8, I think, and he still is top 5 in rushing.
Oh, he was so far on the island.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you did that in the first half of the year.
Yeah.
Where the second half, would he have kept the same? I don't know. I'm not saying he would or wouldn't. I just
I agree, but it's just you gotta. Derrick Henry dude is different.
It took the great Jonathan Taylor 3 weeks to catch him. So I was tracking it. So it just. But with that being said, that's how great. If anybody ever had the greatest 8-week start in the history of the NFL, it was that. It was Derrick Henry. It just got decimated by injury. With that being said, that's what I'm saying. I just don't expect him to be like it's week 9 when he comes back. No, it's like that's what I'm like. Okay, shrug shoulders. I get it. Got to play him honest. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
you're gonna have to get up for him. But I'm not saying he's gonna bust this whole thing wide open. But it's a key point. That is that offense. It's kind of he is to Tennessee as Lamar Jackson is to Baltimore.
Yes.
So
you take him out of the. He's the pin in the grenade.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I was saying. So leave it at that.
Some more injuries. Arizona safety Budda Baker had a nasty concussion on Monday night. That was actually a very scary scene. But he went to the hospital. He has actually been released, and everybody's saying he's good. So that is a great sign, because when he went down, it was scary for everybody. They had to stop the game for about 5 to 10 minutes, just like, dude, what the heck just happened? Rams offensive tackle Andrew Whitworth went down with an ankle injury on Monday night, and cornerback David Long Jr. went down with a knee injury. That one I think is the bigger of the two for the Rams, because David Long was huge in that game versus Arizona. So if they can get him back for this game up against Tampa Bay, having to go up against Tom Brady, that one's going to be big. Otherwise, they're really going to need Eric Weddle to step up at that safety position and to really fill in for some of these DBs, as they've gotten a couple of guys that have gone down recently. And some guys that the teams are getting back. Let's start with Green Bay, because they're getting 3 guys back, 3 very key guys. Starts with guard Lucas Patrick. He gets reactivated off of the COVID list. Jair Alexander is returning from IR, and Zadarius Smith is returning from IR. So they're getting some of their horses back in this race. Cincinnati, though, they're getting Xavier Suafilo. I probably am butchering his last name, but guard, they're getting him back from IR. So that's one of the things that we've been talking about all year for Cincinnati, that offensive line. So getting some reinforcements there. In Tennessee, as we stated, running back Derrick Henry is returning from IR as well this week.
Welcome back.
Those are guys that are coming back, and all of them are going to be pretty key for the teams that they're returning to. But let's get into some headlines. Let's start with the coaching carousel, because there's been some news, some developments there. We stated it in the last episode, and might as well hit it home here as well. Dallas needs to fire Mike McCarthy.
Absolutely.
14 penalties, horrid clock management, as you stated, and bad play calling in those important situations all season long, not just on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, rather. But regardless, he is the reason this team is not in the playoffs any longer. He needs to go. Moving on. Vegas, they have fired GM Mike Mayock after the playoff loss there. And the players, though, have publicly come out and supported interim head coach Rich Bisaccia for the head coaching position. And Rich Bisaccia actually met with Mark Davis on Monday to be in their beginnings of their coaching search. So it's the players are really on board for having Rich Bisaccia come back and take the helm. We'll see what Mark Davis does, because that's an organization at this point in history, and from all I've known, the Raiders have been a joke. And so I don't know what Mark Davis is going to do moving forward here, but I think the right thing to do is to retain Rich Bisaccia until you find a clear, definitive guy to move forward with. Let him be the interim head coach for the next 2-3 years while you try to find the guy. But if you're just going to go get somebody, why the hell do you not just keep the dude that, through amidst of so much controversy and so much just BS all year long, 7-5, he finished out the season, got this team into the playoffs, and played rather competitively against a Cincinnati Bengals team that almost nobody wants to see in the NFL right now. So there's that. Then the interviewing process for the other teams. Before I move on to the teams that we've talked about last week, Houston. We didn't get a chance to talk about this on the show last week.
Okay.
What the hell is Houston doing? They fired David Culley after 1 season.
As we said off the air. Exactly. The man played well. He coached well above his pay grade. No one expected him to do anything, and he only went out there and made Houston, no name, no identity Houston Texans, a contender.
4 wins.
I'm just gonna say 4 wins, 4 huge wins, and competitive football the rest of the year. Like, they was not some team you just 31-3.
A team that we prognosticated, multiple people prognosticated that they would not win a game.
Yeah, exactly.
They fought week in, week out. They were a team just like the Detroit Lions. Every week, it was just like, all right, well, that's they played hard. That was not, we escaped by the hair on our chinny chin here.
Yeah, I mean, you was definitely a team you wanted to see on your schedule, but once you got out there, like, God damn, we can't put this damn team
This
away.
is not a bye week.
I mean, 10-point loss, 24-9. Okay, there was a couple of blowouts. Of course, they are Houston.
They are Houston.
25-22 lost. Oh God, not those. They had a murderer's row element here too, which is not very fair to the team with this kind of talent.
Well, keep in mind the reason why they have that schedule is because the quarterback that they used to have is one of the most dynamic
Deshaun
quarterbacks
Watson,
in the entire league.
Thank you for Big Brother don't want to show up for the fight now. Lose 17-9 and win 22-13 against the Titans in Tennessee.
And I think the second game was 22-25 against them. They almost beat Tennessee twice this year.
Yeah, I mean, then you lose 21-14 and then they win 30-16. They win 41-29 over the Chargers and back-to-back wins. It's just like, what the heck? 4. Oh, I'm looking at. Oh, those are preseason.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, and 23-7. And then lose 28-25, like you said, against in the last game of the season. Just competitive football. Like, they was not as bad as that record indicates.
Yeah.
And
they easily could have been a 7-9 team right there with like the likes of Atlanta.
Now I get it if that's not really the guy you wanted, and it's just like, okay, he was truly an interim. Like, I'm only saying this in the context of interim, any type of interim position. Like,
why would you just keep Bill O'Brien then?
Well, no, that guy was destined to just continue to dismantle the team, but. And
you take him away from the GM duties. Why the hell did he have GM duties in the first place? Just make him the head coach.
Well, obviously they need to do some personnel issues here in Houston. But my point, that was not the point I'm trying to make. The point I was just saying is I can understand from an interim position if it's like, look, this is a 1-year thing. Whatever happens, happens, and leave it at that. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that's a real thing. My point is, if since you're going to move on. I don't want to hear about, John Johnson, D2 college coach coming up out of nowhere off the scout team. You
want to talk about the guys that they're interviewing. Starts with Chargers offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi, which okay, but the Chargers aren't the pinnacle of playoff offensive football. So I think Joe Lombardi, that's the only request that he's gotten so far. Is to go to Houston. Brian Flores is been requested to have that
one.
But that one just seems like that one only seems like a ploy to try to keep Deshaun Watson there, and Deshaun Watson's just like, I'm not playing for you as a franchise. I don't give a damn who the head coach is. I will go find a head coach somewhere else. Right. And then the last one, you're never gonna guess who the last one is. That Houston requested an interview for.
You're absolutely right. I'm not.
Hines Ward.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's a blast from the past.
Hines Ward is you want to talk about D2 college coach? That's where he is right now.
I was about to say,
and he's not the head
coaching
coach.
Experience. No, it ain't got. You know what? It doesn't even matter what he did. It's because he's Hines Ward. That's what this is. This. Oh my God.
So
okay,
it's
Houston,
a name drop from
Houston. Don't go down this road. Do not follow the Jacksonville model here. Just no. I know you're trying to get people in the seats. I get that. That this is not the way to do it, though. Continue.
That's it. Those are the three that they have so far to replace David Culley, who did a miraculous job with this roster.
Now, I will say, even though they have missed out on the Deshaun Watson thing, if they got Flores, I'm not knocking the move.
I'm not, but it's still just like,
I don't like Flores in Houston as opposed to Houston likes. Yeah, Flores being there with them.
Exactly.
I get that, but I'm just saying that would be a nice. That's a hell of a turnaround because that's where you start anyway. I'm just saying, if it ain't him, like you're saying, it's like, well, that's what my point was I was trying to make. If you ain't really making a serious bid for a coach. I'm like, just keep who you have that's proven, been with the organization. Why are you going to shuffle all this up, bring in new coordinators, a new coach, possibly is they getting a new GM?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're sticking, and that's why Brian Flores is so interesting, because their GM comes from the executive position over in New England. So it looks like Houston is trying to become New England 2.0.
Okay. Interesting. I'll just leave it at Houston still is an interesting franchise. Like you, I don't agree with the firing. It was just like I think even at 4-13, considering the talent that they had on both sides of the ball, and for them to play that type of competitive football and put out a true product on the field, what else can you ask for out of a damn coach? I don't give a damn what his name is. That's what you want. You want something that the damn players can believe in. Now, did he lose the locker room? I don't think so.
Not from what I was hearing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so. And I think
Davis Mills was 100% in.
Think he was respected. I mean, I don't. Up until several weeks ago, who the hell was Davis Mills? Davis Mills has become a person that we actually know walks on this planet, because of this coach. And yes, and he's not a bad quarterback, actually. He's
decent. He had a solid rookie year.
I mean, damn, he's up for doing more with less award here. Like, that's my fair. God, he had nothing going on for him. He, what was his name? Mr.
Mike White?
No, the wide receiver in Houston. God.
Oh, Brandon Cooks.
Is it Cook?
Yeah,
it is. I'm saying that like, okay, yeah. Brandon Cooks and the resurrection of Rex Burkhead. Like, what the hell was that? Rex Burkhead had his best 4-game stretch of his career in Houston, when nobody's watching him and no one cared, and yet for this man's services, he got the axe. I'm not gonna say that's possibly why some stuff. Maybe that's part of what Deshaun Watson's issue is. There's just some things in Houston.
This is
just
a joke
right.
franchise. I'm just gonna say it. It's a joke franchise. I don't care what you think you're going to upgrade the head coaching position to.
I'll say this: they ain't the Oilers. I know that much.
Oof.
I'm just throwing it out. You can bring a team back to the city, but can't bring the city back to the team.
No, you can't. Speaking of joke franchises, Jacksonville. Their interviewing process began. They have already talked with the likes of a Darrell Bevel, Doug Peterson, Jim Caldwell, Byron Leftwich, and Todd Bowles from Tampa Bay. Still on their list to interview, and somebody who's going to be interviewed a lot. Kellen Moore is now available. I mean, his schedule is completely wide open now. Green Bay offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett is a pretty hot commodity. There's quite a few people trying to get that position.
Got a Kellen Moore take.
Yeah.
Do not be surprised. This man gets interviewed by the Giants and hired. Just throwing that out there.
Don't like it for him. Don't. If I had there
was nothing to like about this. That's just that is prototypical Giants football operations.
What I'm gonna say is, if I'm Kellen Moore and I take that interview with the Giants,
take that job.
That's what I'm saying. If I have the option to go to be the head coach of the Giants or stay the offensive coordinator of Dallas, I'm taking the offensive coordinator job.
Stay where you at. I don't think there's a job for him this year. Personally, I see the openings and all that. That's fine. No, you trust me. Just
I'll have a question in a minute.
Okay, but go ahead.
The last two, we spoke of him just recently. Bama offensive coordinator is apparently in the running for the Jacksonville interviewing process. You know exactly where this is going. Bill O'Brien. He is going to be interviewing in the coming weeks for that job, and also Indianapolis defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus.
Not because he's getting the interview,
but it's because it's Jacksonville.
Yeah, and he's a serious contender for getting hired.
I think he's going to get offered the job.
And Jacksonville learns nothing when it's all said and
done. Now, Denver is another one who is going through the interviewing process right now.
Crazy.
They are New England linebacker coach Gerard Mayo is in the running over there. Dallas defensive coordinator rather Dan Quinn is going to be in the running there. I think he's actually the favorite for this job in Denver right now. Green Bay offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett, and this is where my question will come in about Kellen Moore. You don't like Kellen Moore in Denver this year? He's in the running. They're going to be interviewing him soon. You don't see that being a spot where his offense can really thrive with if they can get a quarterback, whether it's a Deshaun Watson or an Aaron Rodgers.
I'm probably not the guy to ask this. I don't know. I'm not feeling him. It could possibly.
What
work.
about Kellen Moore's offense do you not like?
I don't know.
Because I know you have an issue with Mike McCarthy. I know what your issue is.
I think that's what's clouding it.
It's the correlation.
But you put that together, and I think I said, man, I watched Hard Knocks, and I just wasn't. He wasn't moving the needle for me. Maybe it's just the off season. It just, all right, dude. I see what you do.
One of the most dynamic offenses this year.
Yeah.
You don't think that'll translate to the weapons that they have over in Denver?
No, because this is the part.
If they get a quarterback.
Let me ask you. Okay, play call. I don't know if it was the OC's problem or it was the head coach or both in Dallas. Now, let's say he goes to Denver. You got a two-headed monster over there.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to sit here and all of a sudden got these two-headed monsters out here, and then all of a sudden this is going to be today. We're going to do whatever we can to get Judy and Sutton in the game. We're just going to keep throwing the ball. We're not going to run it at all. These dudes going to be on the field. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude, if I look at another Ezekiel Elliott 12 for 30 game, that's all. I don't care, injured or not.
But do you not think
if he's gonna be in a game, run him?
I attribute that more to Jerry Jones putting pressure on them to make that $140 million contract of Dak Prescott worth it.
That's interesting.
I think this is a Dallas issue. I don't think it's a Kellen Moore issue. Now, we really don't have any kind of true barometer for that statement that I just made, being the fact that we've only seen Kellen Moore under Jerry Jones and what this offense can be within that. But I really think Jerry Jones we've talked about it in the last episode here. Basically, he does not know when to get out of his own damn way. And he just keeps trying to be so hands-on that he is the detriment of this Dallas offense and of this Dallas franchise. And I would think that it is more of Jerry Jones saying, hey, make that $140 million contract. That check I just wrote, $140 million, is that $95 million of it fully guaranteed? I need to see dividends on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think had way more to do with what that situation was more than Kellen Moore trying to just not knowing what he's doing. Because
this is my other point. Now, he could be I'm just taking Denver as just the model here, the example. I don't think he would have an issue on the offensive side of the ball. My issue is going to come with that defense.
Mm-hmm.
Can he build a defense? Now, we do know most OCs come in and become great defensive head coaches, but
it's happened quite a few times.
I don't know if
Nagy.
This is it. And I'm like, but with that being said, I don't ever see it coming. It just happens. It did happen with Zimmer. Okay, like I was very impressed with him in Cincinnati, but Minnesota, I was impressed with his first couple of years, but then after that, he just, and I'm like, okay, is there going to be another one of them situations? All I'm saying is he hasn't given me something. I don't have that. Just hearing his signing, like, oh yeah, Denver's back type of thing. I'm just like, all right.
I mean, I think for him, Kellen Moore specifically, I think he would pull I'm gonna take over the offense, kind of how Matt Nagy was. But then he's gonna get a truly stud defensive guy to come in and, hey, this is all you. You get to run the defense however you see fit. You don't even need to, if you don't want me in the meeting room, I won't even touch it.
I understand. And then I have one more factor.
Yeah.
Coaches, or he coordinates in the NFC least.
Mm.
Now you're gonna go to the AFC West and just no, buddy, get in line. you got a lot of catching up to do because you got to catch up to
What? He's got to go to he's got to go to the NFC South before he can step up to the.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying. You asking
these big leagues ain't for you, bud.
Nah, I'm just saying you asking them to do a lot with a lot. I mean, like, yeah, you got Denver, but damn, they gave you the least of what's going on in that division, and that's fine. But it's like now you got to take on your own division. We ain't even talking about the conference right now.
Yeah,
it's just like, could he be that guy? He could. I don't see it. I'm not even against him. He didn't get it. He didn't pass the eye test for me.
Okay.
He's not my first choice. He wouldn't be necessarily my last. I've seen, like I said, he ain't some Division II. I'm not taking Hines Ward over this guy. Let me be very clear.
That is fair.
You know, I'm not down. I like him to just stay as the OC. I didn't even say he needed to be out. I said McCarthy needs to go.
Yeah.
He can stay. But I don't want him to be the head coach. Though.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ready. I don't even think he's ready to be a head coach right now. I just think he should.
That's a fair point. He's super young. I don't know if he's much older than me. I'm
coordinate a couple more years, get a little more, experience under your belt, whether it's in Dallas or somewhere else. But my point, I'm not feeling him as a head coach right now.
Well, a guy that we've been thinking should be a head coach for quite some time now is also in the running for this Denver job, and that would be offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy.
Let's go.
You want to keep him in division?
I do not. I'm just saying let's go that his name is finally being. I mean,
his name has been in the. I don't think Eric Bieniemy is going to get a job. I don't think he's ever going to get it.
I know they're not talking about it because he's still, still playing right now. And they really can't tamper too much, and so they're just kind of leaving him alone. But you're saying you're not gonna get a job.
I think he's going to get interviews like he always does, but for whatever reason, they're going to go somewhere else. And I think it's totally egregious because he has been as an African American coach in the league. Mm-hmm. He has been passed over in guys like Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury have gotten a job where he sputtered out in goddamn Texas, and now he's got a job before Eric Bieniemy does. Like Matt Nagy got a job before Eric Bieniemy did. Like, I don't understand at all what the problem is with Eric Bieniemy. His offenses, year in and year out, are fantastic. And you can't say that it's because he's under Andy Reid and it's Andy Reid's offense because Matt Nagy got hired. Well, you literally cannot use that argument anymore.
He might fall under a different category for various reasons, but he might end up just saying there could be if there's if he don't get a job this year, there could be a couple things. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say first, and I'm gonna say another. Two scenarios. He can just possibly at this point they can be just grooming him to be the successor of Andy Reid to stay in Kansas City. Or this team falls apart in the next couple seasons. Then what I'm saying, they're just gonna bust it up anyway. Then all of a sudden you're gonna get these whoever is gonna be like the teams on the outs finding themselves with no coaches, all of a sudden clamoring for this guy now. It's gonna be this delayed reaction for whatever reason. But there's a few players a few guys in the past that fell under that kind of criteria for various plethora of different reasons. It just they fall between the cracks for some damn reason. Why is him falling?
This isn't falling in between the cracks anymore. This to me is way too. It's been 5 years. This has been 5 seasons of this. And that cannot be falling.
I'm not even pissed. I'm like,
I know I'm not either. I get that, but I'm talking about
your best job was to stay here.
This is
right.
This is more from me just watching the fact that we've watched African American head coach get fired time and time again to get passed up for no reason, for one, but for two, to give just a shot to a guy that doesn't deserve it.
True.
a guy way too early like Kellen Moore. If Kellen Moore gets hired before Eric Bieniemy, who's proven it for 5 goddamn years.
This has been going on since the beginning of time as to why we got a Rooney Rule, which is the same.
A Rooney Rule that doesn't goddamn work?
No, it works. It works in the
It does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah,
so it's to give them false hope.
It gives you the interview. It gives you an opportunity to get your name on the list to get interviewed. That's it. We don't have to hire you. That's why it's bullshit, and it's the same. It's you know what it is.
A Rooney Rule for head coaches that they don't have for GMs.
It's almost the equivalency of this argument you hear in the world about affirmative action.
Don't even.
I know. I'm not going to get into it deep.
No, you're right.
In the sports world,
you're 100% correct.
So what is it? It's bullshit.
Yes.
And then that's all I'm saying. It's so. You say, with these African American coaches, they not even getting called in for the jobs, or they get a job and they get fired like this and that.
I mean, David Culley just got fired after one damn season.
Absolutely.
And he did everything to keep that job. Rich Bisaccia is about to get fired.
Look at the shock value here. There's no shock value because it has been happening since the beginning of time, and they have not changed anything. Protecting the shield, like we was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. Here it goes again. And
I feel like we've had this conversation before.
We've had it many times, and here we go again.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm sitting there saying, for some reason or another, Eric Bieniemy can't get a job. Let me tell you why he can't get a job. Y'all really want to know why he can't get a job?
I'll say it. The NFL is racist.
And the skin.
Sorry,
I'll
take that back. I'll take that back. America's racist.
Thank you. And, all right. and they have been since the beginning of time, and here we are. It has crept into the sports world. Big freaking surprise. Unfortunately, this guy
blackballed.
Yeah. Look at the word you used. Blackballed.
That's fair. That's on me.
I mean, and it just throwing this out there. It's ingrained in the fibers of this country. Yeah. And here it is, even at the NFL level. I just want to just be entertained. Why we got to talk about race? I don't know. Why do y'all keep bringing up race? So if you
stop being racist,
stop being racist. Stop making things about race, and then we will stop. It won't be an issue anymore. I'm like, hell, it ain't us, it's you. Who is you? Y'all.
But that's what I was getting to the point at. It's like David Culley just got fired way too early.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Bisaccia. I don't know what coach ever could deal with what he had to deal with this season and keep that organization afloat.
Brian Flores. The most, I ain't gonna say controversial, but the most surprising, shocking, firing of all. I'm like, what?
There is one African American coach in the NFL. Tomlin.
And he's safe, buddy, because
he's not going to make any waves, because if he does anything, if he makes any noise, that's his job.
But the NFL also got to see. They'll dance around the fire. They get right up on it because they're up on it right now. Because they ain't an issue now. But if you have zero, then there's gonna be there's gonna be a massive blowback. Now my point being is, if it's zero, there's one. That's egregious.
Exactly.
That's what I'm getting at. And
75% of the talent in the NFL is African American. Or sorry, a person of color. It's not just African American.
Correct. And it's yes. And look at ownership. Lily White.
That's what I was saying. Why is there a Rooney
I'm not going to say people of European descent. Lily White. Across the board.
But why is there a Rooney rule for head coaches that is truly enforced, whereas it's just kind of an afterthought when it comes to GMs? Because until GMs are African American, also ownership. Why is Shad Khan the only person of color? And he's been a putrid owner of an NFL franchise out in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically the NFL is ready to kick Jacksonville to London, and there's so many other owners. I'll give you one right now that needs to be fired. Dan Snyder. I don't care how much you're going to try to you lied about the referees. I don't believe a single report the NFL puts out about what Dan Snyder did or did not do, for that matter. Dan Snyder is a sexual predator, and he needs to be gone. I've danced around it all year long, but I'm done. This dude is a sexual predator that needs to be gone. He should not be associated with the shield that you're trying so hard to frickin' protect. I don't give a damn how much money he has. Jeff Bezos is ready to buy the damn franchise, and he's going to bring a ton more money into the ear, more than you could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Way more than Dan Snyder can, because he can't even run the damn Washington football team. They can't even pick a damn name.
Nope. And why is... What did I hear this? Oh, I was watching a show. I don't know if you watched this on Netflix. It's about Washington, but Master of None.
I haven't watched it. I've heard of it though.
30 minute
a quick
episodes. So I'm like just saying, you could, you know what I'm saying? You could, it's very, kind of like, not a sitcom, but it's got humor in it. It's funny and all this and that. They got this one particular skit, and it's about at the time the Redskins. But the guy was working on an initiative to get the name changed this was some years ago, of course, when they were actually doing it, but they were doing a skit. Part of the skit was about this. He was doing his name change, and he said, "Yeah, I was really trying to work with this new identity for the Redskins. So I came up with breadsticks. So like Washington Redskins, breadsticks, Redskins, breadsticks. It just makes sense, right?" Like, no, it really doesn't. And
no.
He had a new sign, like a new logo on the helmet, and it was supposed to be like breadsticks and some kind of like dipping thing.
Yeah.
But he was like, I've been looking at the thing. He's like, where's the breadsticks? I'm a little confused. He said, those are baguettes, and then there was another bread thing. It was no breadsticks on it whatsoever. And so, but in the course of the skit, he was like, he's like, I've been working on this thing for like several years, but it's just kind of died out, so it's just been kind of on the board pending in this. And he's like, well, kind of think, wouldn't it just be easy? You kind of think like, okay, people don't like the name, we don't like the name, we just change the name, right? It's just that easy, right?
Yeah.
And the guy never answered the question, and that's my point. They have been going back and forth just with the football team. We're going into year 3.
Yep.
What the hell is it? Look,
Washington, I will say, apparently they have picked a name and they're going to announce it February 2nd.
Oh, it shouldn't have took damn near 3 years.
I agree. They could have fixed it the year before. And the reason why I'm upset about that in the first place is because the only reason that they decided to change the name is because FedEx pulled their sponsorship.
Yeah, he was never going to do. And that's my point, that even in the face of egregious racism, some
sexism,
kind of way, that as well,
sexual misconduct, sexual assault,
there's sexual deviance all the way around. I mean, debauchery and anything else that you want, just putrid work environment and so on and so forth. And yet,
for all of you gamers that don't understand what we're talking about here, just think the Washington football team's work environment was as bad or might have even been worse than Activision Blizzard. If you're a gamer, you'll understand that.
And yet there's this slow grind, this slow push to, we got to go through a process, and we want to get the fans involved in this.
Which they didn't do.
Not really. And the fact that it was years upon years of coming, we've been waiting for this. This should have just been an overnight look. That's the thing. The minute they changed it within I'm going to give them a few weeks. Look, I don't even care. You could do the old basic Washington Tigers. I don't care.
No.
Anything.
Cleveland. The Cleveland, what formerly was Indians, they changed theirs to Guardians, and yet we didn't have enough time to push through everything that we wanted to, so that we could change our logo and this, that, the other. So they played one season with it, still as the Indians. but we knew it was going to be Guardians, and now they've already officially changed it. ESPN already has all the graphics for all of Cleveland's new logos.
Wow, this was new. I didn't even know this happened.
Yep.
See, and that's
they did it in less than a year.
That's part of my problem. That this should have been leading storylines, and I'm like, why am I just hearing about this? You know, and I'm not knocking it that they glad they did change it, but the point being is, notice how that don't lead the news cycles whatsoever. Will. You know, which it should be. I'm like, this is a whole damn new identity. You know.
Yes.
Okay, back to your point. I'm sorry, I was looking.
No, that's simply it.
Breaking news for me.
They did it. They said they were going to change it last year. They picked a name within that time frame. It was like literally that last off season, whenever all of that other debacle that the MLB was having.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland said we've changing our name to the Guardians, and it'll be that in 2022. They played the season out. They just changed it, I think, just this past week. So it's simple stuff. And this is all deriving from a conversation about head coaching positions and the fact that Eric Bieniemy only is in serious consideration for one job, and he's still not even the front runner. Dan Quinn is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just... It's beyond me. But Denver is also looking for Philadelphia. They're looking at Philadelphia defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon. They're looking at Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell, Green Bay quarterback coach Luke Getsy, and Detroit defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. So those will be guys up for the Denver job, which is probably going to be a very coveted job once they get a quarterback.
Yeah.
Minnesota, they also are looking at Kellen Moore, and also Dan Quinn. Todd Bowles from Tampa Bay, defensive coordinator, is a guy that they are interested in. Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell and Green Bay offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett are also in the running there. Jonathan Gannon from Philadelphia. And San Francisco defensive coordinator D'Amico Ryans is also in the running for Minnesota's head coaching position. I don't know what Minnesota's game plan is, if they're going to go GM head coach or head coach then GM type situation, or let the GM hire the new head coach. I don't know what their process is right now. Minnesota is actually quite hush-hush about their interviewing process. So there's probably this list is probably 10 million times longer for them, but as it stands right now, that is what we've seen. Chicago also getting pretty deep into their interviewing process. They've already talked to both Buffalo coordinators, Leslie Frazier and Brian Daboll. They've discussed early evaluations of Doug Peterson, Jim Caldwell, and Brian Flores. I think they have on the books an interview scheduled for guys like Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles, both the coordinators from Tampa Bay, and also Dan Quinn later this week from Dallas. And then also on the list is Nathaniel Hackett from Green Bay, offensive coordinator, and Indy defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. So that's that. Miami, last team. Giants would be the last team, but the Giants also, they're so in flux that they have no idea what they're doing. I don't even know if they've even thought about
whatever's left over. They don't even get to choose.
It's not a good situation for them. But let's go to Miami. They've got Buffalo coordinators Leslie Frazier and Brian Daboll on the list. Mike McDaniel, San Francisco offensive coordinators on the list. Dan Quinn will be interviewing there. Arizona defensive coordinator Vance Joseph is on the list there. Kellen Moore also to be interviewing there. And LA Rams assistant head coach and running backs coach Thomas Brown is on the list for Miami's job. Like I said, New York, they are in such flux. We have no idea what their process is going to be moving forward here. So that's that. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are going to be interviewing for just about every single job. Other guys, kind of one-offs here or there, and some questionable ones. I'm really not on board with the Vance Joseph, Arizona defensive coordinator. I don't think he's done enough yet to get a look right now.
Wasn't he the head coach in Denver at one point?
I think so. I can't remember.
I believe that's what it was, but mean, I've seen people with less experience than him, but
Aaron Glenn.
I wasn't feeling him big time as a head coach. I mean, and it's fine. I mean, I know we were talking about the Rooney Rule, but I'm speaking this from experience. I don't care what your race is at this point. It's just if I don't feel you're experience or not taking Kellen Mond is
Kellen Moore.
I'm thinking of
Minnesota quarterback.
Quarterback that ain't gonna play. Yeah, taking him, same thing. I just don't think he's ready.
Well, also like guys like Green Bay's quarterback coach Luke Getsy. Like, why? Why over Nathaniel Hackett? Like I
mean, man, he's the coach of Aaron Rodgers. The great Aaron Rodgers. So obviously,
they fired Aaron Rodgers' coveted QB coach. Like,
I don't know.
Luke Getsy's not the guy. Go ahead, hire him by all means.
And maybe these are just names. I mean, these guys can go in the office and like, look.
By the way,
when we meet up in 2 days, give me your short list, 10 names. You know, and that what I'm saying.
Well, but also I think this is like the preliminary list for all these teams because most of these are already done through Zoom. I know Chicago has had a few in-person interviews already, but most of them are like they're not in person right now. So,
gotcha.
That'll be coming as some of these teams get knocked out of the playoffs in the coming weeks here. And then once the season is wrapped up for sure, well, I think in the next, maybe even as early as the end of this week, we might see guys get hired based off of if somebody just completely wows them in the interview.
Got to see the first couple of, shoes to drop so they can, musical chairs when jobs start winding down, then
I just hope Chicago isn't the first one to bite. I don't want them to be the first one to sign.
If they get the person that they want, though.
Yeah, but we've interviewed Jim Caldwell and Doug Peterson, and I'm just like,
Oh, I meant as far as the first sign, but I guess I'm saying that in the idea, I'm thinking of like a Brian Flores, and
which we also have interviewed.
That's my number one choice right now.
Really?
Yes, he's moved all the way to my number one. Not feeling Leslie Frazier. I mean, I don't like what he did in Minnesota. I'm just soured on him.
Yeah, we had a firsthand experience watching what he did in Minnesota, but also that Minnesota roster was so putrid at the time. So
but at the same time, I don't like young, not so experienced coaches coming into Chicago trying to revitalize. It's just not a recipe for. It's like, you know what? You can write the ship for us, and then we're gonna end up getting somebody else in.
I'm enamored with Buffalo's offense, and so I want Brian Daboll right now.
Maybe.
Like if we can fix this goddamn offense, man.
I was just saying he was my first choice. My second choice is somebody we were already discussing that's probably not gonna get a job, and that's Bieniemy. Those are my 1 and 2. Anybody else after that, I'm just kind of like, man.
I don't think Chicago is going to go the route of Eric Bieniemy specifically because we've already gone the Kansas City model.
I understand that. I was just saying that's who I like.
Yeah. No, I like him too. I would love to. I thought they should have hired Bieniemy instead of Matt Nagy at the time. So that's just me. Let's talk about some other headlines. A couple of tragic things happened in the last couple of days. Cleveland defensive tackle Malik McDowell was arrested just today for battery of law enforcement, public exposure, and resisting arrest. So that happened.
All out mess over there.
Apparently. And then Jacksonville, Laurenti McCray was also arrested, I think today, for fleeing police. So we got a couple of runners. So
got another one. Got one in Chicago.
What?
Dan Hampton, Hall of Fame lineman, back in the Super Bowl Shuffle Bears. Gets 1 year probation after pleading guilty to drunken driving.
Okay, Jesus Christ.
And there was a firing today.
Oh, what was that?
In Seattle.
Is it the one that we want? Because I didn't see that news.
Absolutely not. That would have been breaking news.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was like, where did that come across my screen?
No. Defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. gets fired.
Yeah, that's the problem over there. Oh, I just got the Dan Hampton news.
Yeah, it didn't happen until like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just waiting to see if when you ended, where you're going to end on one of these. So, just bring it to your attention. So yeah, and defensive assistant Andre Curtis. So I don't know who that is. Don't even care. I'm just gonna say he must have worked for Ken Norton. So, so now
talk about a scapegoat.
Exactly. I was about to. Go ahead.
That's all I got because I am so done with Pete Carroll. Like these
freaking smokescreen.
Yeah,
like, let's fire you. That's not the issue. The issue is not the defensive coordinator. The issue was the defense that you did not provide him with. Yeah, they had nothing on the defensive end.
You are the catalyst for what this team is, and yes, there's reports. I want to believe Russell Wilson is going to leave, but is Russell Wilson from Minnesota? No. This dude is so passive about this and keeps leaking. If you guys don't want me here, these are the places that I'd like to go, or I'd like to explore my options type stuff. Dude, say it. Just say it. Trade me. I am tired of this beating around the bush type nonsense that you keep doing in this passive aggressive BS. If you want to get out, say it, because that is the only way that they are going to trade you with that contract.
He's from Cincinnati.
Midwest still.
Yeah. I don't know much about Ohio, but I guess, just putting it out there.
He
grew up in Virginia, but hey.
Until I see him officially stated, I'm afraid he's going to return, and that's just going to be a waste of his damn career.
Because get a spin job. Yeah, I know we had a bad season and this and that, but I'm assuring you, we're going to be making some changes and stuff like that.
Dude, you're in year 11. I don't want to see you in a rebuild. I want to see you competing for another Super Bowl.
I don't think he realized his window is open, and this is it.
His prime is right now.
Right, it's now. It's not next couple years. Now, and you got this damn coach who's trying to save his own career.
I don't want to see Russell Wilson in the same position as Aaron Rodgers 5 years down the line. I've only got one Super Bowl. I got to make a name for myself. They're thinking about moving on from me. I still gotta prove myself, and I'm gonna do it in my way. And no, do what Matt Stafford did. He was loyal to Detroit way beyond what he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
He told them, "Hey, I want to move on. I want a chance at actually winning something." And now you see him in the playoffs in your damn division. Just say it. If you're looking to win, just say it, Russ. If you're not, then just say it. Hey, I want to stick for the rebuild. Say it then.
Mm-hmm.
But stop with this passive BS.
Yeah. Seattle's a mess. I'm going to leave it at that. I just thought it was noteworthy that now they let the defensive coordinator go. I was like, no, I think you need to let anything, hell, who should have got fired first? If there was any coordinator, it should have been an offensive coordinator, not defense. But with that being said, we already know it's Pete Carroll. You need to go.
Pete Carroll is a problem. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. It's not the coordinators, really. It's him. And you missed you already gave Russell Wilson a little snow job about, man, we were fine. We bring you back. I'm going to bring Carson back. We re-signed
Tyler Lockett to a massive deal.
And okay, not the problems here. The things you should have did anyway. Now, what about the other 20,000 hoes that's sitting on this damn team? Can't address none of those things. And now
DK Metcalf looks like a complete miss. Speaking of misses, yes. Ben Roethlisberger is set to retire after his wild card playoff loss versus Kansas City. Now, I know we both have stated our trepidations. I won't believe it until we see it type stance. But Mike Tomlin came out and said he's ready to begin his search for the next franchise quarterback. So with that, I'm a little bit more confident that at least Mike Tomlin is ready to move on, because he did this whole spin job last offseason that was like, well, yeah, well, we think he's still got something left in the tank and this, that, the other. I was like, your play calling all second half of the season did not reflect you believing he still got something in the tank. Mm-hmm. You took the ball out of his hands because you knew he couldn't get it done. And then when you needed to get a play, you gave it to him and he fumbled the bag, or he threw it to the opposition.
Gotcha.
So if Mike Tomlin is coming around and he's ready to say, I think his exact quote is that he's keeping all of his options open for the QB position in replacing Ben Roethlisberger, which refutes some of the earlier headlines basically stating that they weren't going to try to make a splash at the quarterback position earlier, which actually scared me for what I thought was him basically saying, well, if he's willing to come back, we'll keep him for another year type deal. But with him now saying that he's ready to keep all of his options open, I think that they might still be able. I'm ready for them to try to make a splash in where I would like to see somebody go. I want to see Aaron Rodgers go to Pittsburgh.
Really?
That would be the ideal situation for me. For one, I have a ton of respect for Aaron Rodgers. I don't hate him as a person. I hate him as a nuisance to this goddamn division. But as a player, I respect him, and if I really think about it and I think about seeing him win, I think he could get it done with Mike Tomlin. I have respect for both of those guys individually. That Pittsburgh organization as a whole, not so much, but I don't see Mike Tomlin leaving that organization. Plus, please get the hell out of this damn conference, Aaron Rodgers. Go to the AFC, stay over there, and I don't want to see you.
I got a slightly different take. It's not even going to happen, but it's just my take. If I was given my choice, by all means, he needs to leave Green Bay. He doesn't have to leave the conference, though, because there's a job I think that would be tailor-made for him, his legend. All this nonsense that I got to hear about how great he is and how he's so, he's better than Brett Favre, which he's not, by the way. And I'll argue anybody that anybody to those who just look at his numbers and he's that bad man, and Stephen A with his nonsense. Yeah. I'm like, dude, Brett Favre was a bad man, and I'm like, and he played in in a smash mouth era on top of that. Beating out Hall of Famers, not these people we say that's gonna be in the Hall of Fame, flame out, don't even get in it, type players, But with that being said, I would love to see him go to the Giants. Go show me how bad you is.
That's not gonna happen.
I know, that's what I said.
It's never gonna happen. My point
was like, take your ass over there to New York. Go to the big city.
Prove
it. Improve it. Show me how bad you really are. Go to New York. You carte blanche. You can have whatever you want.
No, because we keep playing the Giants. That's the issue, and I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers anymore. So get out of the conference. Once every 4 years, I have to see you come back into this, and that's probably going to be only 1 or 2 more times because we played Pittsburgh this year.
Okay, well, it's just 1 or 2 more times if you play with the Giants. So I don't care. I was like,
no, it's not. We play the Giants damn near every year.
We're gonna play them next year. We better not play them next year.
No, we won't. Well, we might. I don't know what the playoff rotation is. Actually, hold up. I can actually confirm or deny whatever.
All right, stay on point here.
Yeah. But regardless, I think he should go out of the conference. So that's that. Is there any other news? Oh, I do want to commend the NFL for this new procedure that they've got going on in the playoffs. I like the efficiency. Granted, we had 2 games with a couple of pretty bad calls, but regardless, that's just the officiating as a whole, or officials' egos themselves, and the NFL not fixing that's a whole different conversation. This new procedure, having these like alternate refs on the sideline, and if basically the alternate refs are there just in case one of the main crew go down, they can just unzip. I'm right out there with you guys. type thing. Otherwise, if nothing goes wrong for the guys that are on the field, they've basically got a perfect relay to the head coach. So you don't have to see the head ref running back and forth, sideline to sideline, to talk to the coaches or anything like that, to try to explain a call or whatnot, and what options they have for challenging or not. They can just be there. They can have the refs huddle up, have that conversation, quickly get the call in, quickly relay that information over to the sideline, to the coaches. It's all a super smooth process. Calls are made much quicker. Basically, the coaches making decisions is much quicker because they don't have to wait for the ref to explain the situation at all. They can say what they're thinking, and that alternate ref that's right there, right beside the head coach, can just talk and tell him and relay the information super quick and keep everything moving fairly efficiently. And then also the use of replay review this past weekend, I loved. They quickly overturned that call in multiple games. They overturned, I think, 2 or 3 calls in the Cincinnati game. Mm-hmm. They overturned a couple of calls in the Dallas-San Francisco game. I think in every single game outside of maybe the early game on Sunday, mm-hmm. I think every game had replay review used and used correctly. It was quick. It was decisive. It was pick up that flag, keep that flag in your pocket type deal, or hey, no, that's a flag, that's a face mask, let's move it back. Mm-hmm. And it also negates the coaches having to use a challenge flag against those bad calls. So it's quick, it's decisive, and it's less risky and less controversial because you're fixing it in real time. And I love that. So if we can expand replay review quite significantly, I would enjoy that. But that definitely is a step in the right direction. Next thing, hold the damn refs accountable. But we've already talked about that. I don't want to get into that whole soliloquy again. So it's as simple as that. Just got to give them props where it is well deserved.